Apple II computer that had VisiCalc on it, really a spreadsheet before there was Microsoft Excel, and I said, wow, that's going to change the world. And I had a little bit of farm ground that I'd gotten from my dad, and I literally bet the farm. So people use that phrase, I literally took a mortgage out of the farmland, which you're never supposed to do if it's been paid for by your grandparents. Mortgage that became the seed capital for Great Plains. And then, as Jim was describing, we went to work with 10 kids, all of us from small towns. We built that into a 2,000-person company. And so then, 18 years later, when Microsoft bought us, we were an overnight success story. After 18 years of slugging away in a very competitive market. But then I did stay at Microsoft for 7 years running their global business solutions, and I had an opportunity. We were already a global company, Great Plains, and we had people in about 20 countries. At Microsoft, we had people in close to 130 countries. And so I'm a young kid, and I'm like, wow, there's people that are working for me that don't have the right to vote, they don't have the right to assemble, they don't have the right to free speech, they definitely didn't have the right to bear arms. And I had an opportunity at a young age between what my dad went through, fighting for freedom and liberty, and then seeing what was going on in the world. I was like, wow, there's a lot of people. This is an amazing country, and we're only in a country like America could a kid like me end up, building a software company and having a chance to do what I've been able to do. And then after that, when our kids were growing up, I commuted from Fargo. We kept the kids in Fargo, commuted to Seattle back and forth for 7 years. I had one great person on my team. He turned out to be I always knew he had a lot of talent, but he worked for me for 7 years, and that was Satya Nadella. You may have heard of him, CEO of Microsoft. But he's done an incredible job, and I had just an amazing time working with all these great people. I came back to North Dakota, and then along the way, I was doing some philanthropy, trying to help the rural school that I had gone to. And I started asking questions. I'm like, hey, because they needed better computers, they needed some things like that. And I said, how much is the state of North Dakota spending on education? Our little old state was spending $1 billion a year on education. And I came home one day to Catherine, and I said, Catherine, maybe instead of us, trying to do a little philanthropy here and give a check there and do whatever, maybe we should give our time, because we might be able to make a difference by giving our time. And she goes, well, sure, we should give our time. And he said, what do you think about it? I said, I'm thinking about running for governor. She was like, what? What is this? Anyway, but then, true story, I assured her, this was January of 2016. There was a career politician was running. He was our sitting attorney general. He'd been there for 16 years. He'd been in the legislature for 24 years, 40-year career politician, and 100% recognition statewide. And somebody did a poll. I said, I'm thinking about running. I hadn't even announced anything about running, and then somebody did a poll, and I was down by 59 points. So Catherine was like, hey, I'm not sure that whole political thing's for me. She's an introvert. She's also in recovery. She had struggled with the disease of addiction for 2.5 decades, starting in high school. And then she found recovery, but so much shame and stigma around the disease of addiction, she never would talk about it. So when I said, hey, well, let's run, she's like, look, I'm not sure I want to jump into that whole arena, because I got this past of mine that I'm not sure that I even remember. And that was very scary to her. And I assured her, I said, look, we're down 59 points. You'll never be the first lady. If she was here, she would call herself the accidental first lady, but she's been a courageous voice for those that suffer with disease and addiction. She's now celebrating 22 years. And she's become a real champion, and she's now on the National Board of Trustees of RNC Convention. She's doing great work in our state and across the country. But it was one of the reasons that after that, when in that spring, in that primary of 16, I guess if I'm standing here, you know what happened, which is we won. But part of what happened in that spring is I had never met President Trump, but I was traveling. Catherine and I were traveling all over the state. We were going to every town. We said, if you've got 500 people or more, we're coming there. And sometimes we'd go and then, 2 people at the coffee table we'd be talking to. But we just kept doing it. And everybody we talked to wanted President Trump. And I'm like, something's happening here, because that was not spring of 2016. That was not, everyone's like, he has no chance, he's got no chance. So we endorsed President Trump in 2016. I'd never met the guy. I spent my life in tech, not in the businesses that he was in. And so so anyway, he and I both got elected the same night. When we were at our election party that November and winning by a wide margin, which was fun. But if you remember that night, I mean, we thought Hillary was going to be the thing, and what a thrill. It was like, wow, he's winning, we get to work with President Trump. So that started a great And whatever you need to know about President Trump, forget all the other stuff. I'm a guy that's a business guy. If you look at the economic comparison of the 4 years under President Trump and the 3.5 years that start from the day they started and put them on a chart next to each other. You take interest rates, you take inflation, you take real growth in job wages, you take illegal immigration. Every comparison that matters to all of you and every working family in this country, President Trump performed way better than Joe Biden. Way better. So one of the things that was easy, so we supported in 2020, and this year we were the first party when we jumped out of the race, the presidential race, we jumped out, we were the first one to endorse him this time, and we've had a blast the last 6 months campaigning for him around the country. And one thing I would tell you that happened, so we had a great relationship, governor to president, but I didn't really know him personally. And then the last 6 months, Catherine and I really got to know him personally. And I think that the thing that I would tell you basically, how many heard Kai give the granddaughter give us? I would tell you that every word that she said is absolutely true. We had a chance to spend Easter Sunday, just Catherine and I with their family, with all the 5 kids, the grandkids. I mean, what a special moment. But everything we saw is exactly what she said. And when we were at Mar-a-Lago and we're leaving, and you've got all of these people that are South Florida, and there's people that are trying to get his attention, and wealthy people and celebrities and the whole thing, and we're walking with him, and he stopped, and there were service people that worked there at the club. And he stopped and he talked to the service people, and he asked them, hey, how are the new locker facilities that we built for you guys? Are those working out okay? How about this? How about that? Well, how are your kids? How are your grandkids? People who've worked for him for years. And he understands, again, it's so clear that he understands and cares deeply about everybody in America who works for a paycheck. So whether it's the policies or whether it's the person, we've got all these reasons, and now here we are today, standing in a great position. Because you go back, just it seems like a century ago, 2.5 weeks ago, people thought this race was close. Then we have this thing called a debate. And going into the debate, all the pundits said, President Trump, he agreed, he's doing it on, foreign territory. At CNN, they picked the moderators, they picked the format, they picked everything. What a mistake he made. And then you saw like 12 minutes into that thing was over. That was and I said they should build like a Rocky statue outside the state. He not only knocked Joe Biden, he knocked that whole party over. Yeah. The whole thing is collapsing. And what we're seeing now, and what they're seeing, because this party has never been more unified, the Republican Party, the platform, the 20 promises that President Trump, that anybody can read in plain English and know this is what we stand for, this is what he's going to do for you, not some 60-page document. If you're all on the rules committee, I'm sorry. But I was saying, it works, that stuff works great if you're in a red district. We've got to win back the Senate, we've got to win back the House. And we've got to think about how do we win. You can't govern unless you win. And he's been very smart about making sure that we don't have anything that the Democrats can use as a club to beat people that are in swing districts, congressmen and others. And I know that all of you, there's people here involved, like Jim in the state legislature from Aberdeen, way to go, man. Swing that one is 39 years. We want to do more of that, and we want to win school boards, we want to win city councils, we want to win county commissioners, we want to do that. And part of the way that works starts with top of the ticket. There's a lot of voter enthusiasm. Catherine and I have been in over 15 states in the last 4 months campaigning, and some of these are the bluest of blue states. I mean, Virginia and Minnesota, for two, weren't even on the map. We have a chance to win both of those states this year. This will be a but it takes all of you. So the fact that you've taken time, you've taken your time to be here, you've taken your dollars to be here, you've committed to come to Milwaukee for a week. You're the heart of the party in the state of Washington, which again, because it reminds me a little bit Oregon, Washington, Minnesota. I go to the rural counties in these states, and it's all Trump country and Trump flags. When you go to the inner cities and you know what's happening in Minneapolis, Portland, and Seattle, it's not pretty. There's an opportunity to convert voters. There's people that are afraid because of their personal safety in these large cities. People that are leaving those states and going to red states. You've got a chunk of Oregon that wants to be part of Idaho. I'll tell you, there's a chunk of northwestern Minnesota. Their kids go to school in North Dakota. They go to hospitals in North Dakota. They get their eggs processed in North Dakota. If they could vote today, they'd all join North Dakota too. And somebody said, "Is that a hostile takeover?" I said, "No, that would be not hostile. They'd all be volunteers." Let's go with North Dakota, because in North Dakota we've got the lowest unemployment, highest workforce participation, highest GDP growth. We've got all of that going on, and then we've got the second highest birth rate in the country too. I'm competitive, but I said, "Wow, that's great." Because we were getting older, and now we've become one of the youngest states. We weren't growing. Now we're one of the fastest growing. And I said, "Who's number one? If we're number two, how do we get to number one in birth rate?" And they said, "Well, that's Utah." I said, "They can be tough to catch, so we'll be happy with number two there." We've got a lot of great things going in North Dakota, but it could be going even better because Joe Biden, he's wrong on the economy. He's completely wrong on the economy. He wants to raise everybody's taxes. What he's doing with the spending they're doing is driving the inflation, which is raising the cost of your food, your clothes, your heat, your electricity. What they're doing on energy is 100% wrong. They're trying to shut down the U.S. energy industry, and that's funding the wars, the two proxy wars we're in. Iran is funding terrorism. Russia is funding the war in Ukraine. They're doing that with their increased oil sales because we're shutting down U.S. production. And so that makes no sense at all. And then again, if you care about the environment, which we all do, if you're like myself and you're from a multi-generational family that's been farming, who cares? There's no bureaucrat in Washington that cares more about the water, the air, the soil health than those of us that live on that land. And so we got to drive something back to the state. Produces energy cleaner, safer, and smarter than the United States. If you cared about the environment, you would want to have every ounce of energy produced in the United States. For some of these other countries, Venezuela, Iran, and Russia, they don't have any environmental regulations. It's a complete disaster. And then if you say we're going to go all EV, China controls 85% of the rare earth minerals, and they're tearing up Africa, they're tearing up Indonesia with no regard, using child labor in Africa to do these open pit mines to get the minerals that our government is subsidizing the purchase of batteries. I mean, it's like none of it makes any sense to me. And so our party right now, the Republican Party, where we're unified, is becoming the party of common sense. So I want to close out. I know we got other speakers that are coming here today that you're going to hear from. You're going to hear from the guy that's making all of this happen here in Milwaukee. Incredible job. Let's give it up for Reince Priebus. What he's doing here. This guy raised $88 million for this convention right here. You know how hard it is to get somebody to give to a candidate? Try to get money to a convention. Anyway, I don't know, he's a magician or something. He raised $88 million. You're going to hear from him in a second, but this has been one of the best run, most secure conventions, and I think what's happening here with your part of it, you giving your time to be here. Theodore Roosevelt always talked about the person in the arena. The person that's willing to get in the arena and feel the sweat and feel the dust and the blood in their face. Well, not only do we have a leader, President Trump, who's doing that, and he showed that incredibly last Saturday in that field in Pennsylvania, but I say it also applies to all of you because it's hard being a Republican in a blue state. Yes. You guys all know that. And we all want to be and I haven't met anybody that cares about this country and cares about the things that you care about that probably hasn't felt like, hey, I've lost a friend or I've lost even a family member that's upset with me for believing what you believe in. But I want to say, for us to start working our way back, I mean, I have a challenge for all of you, which is talk to these people. I think there's a new opportunity. I think people are seeing the humanity in President Trump. They saw him as a father, as a grandfather. They saw him as someone who was a millimeter away from us as a country being in chaos and mourning. We wouldn't even be at this convention. We have to just get up every day filled with gratitude for that we're here today, that he's alive, and that we have this opportunity to turn this country around. Challenge to all of you then is to think about these people where these relationships that have been strained or you've lost, whatever, and figure out if there's a way back in or pick somebody new if that's too hard. But we've got to talk about why President Trump, and I think it's easy, lead in with curiosity, don't have to sell. Lead in with curiosity and ask them one question. Are they better off today than they were 4 years ago? That's always been the question of presidential elections, but this time it's extra special. Because the guy that delivered the answer, we were better off 4 years ago, is running again. We can put President Donald J. Trump back in the White House and lift up every American, every independent, every Democrat, every Republican. Thank you very much.